Hi, this is Maggie, your physio, and I'm here today to walk you through a quick workout to improve your stability in your lower quadrant, which would include ankle, knee, and hips. We'll do a lot of exercise that focus on balance. So this is a great workout for somebody who's recovering from any sort of surgery or sprain or broken bone on their later stages, right? So we don't want to do these kind of exercises right in the beginning because there are obviously some progressions until we get to these exercises. So this is kind of like the final stages of rehab. It's also a great workout for those of you who are already doing some great sports like running, biking, and that are mostly one direction movements. So this will explore a little bit more those stabilizing muscles that we don't use as much when we're doing those kind of sports. So a lot of exercises include balance. So you recognize some of the poses from Pilates and yoga, and a little bit of bringing up the heart rate, but the goal really is doing them slow so that you can feel those muscles and you can really like the shakiness and when there's a little bit of that, this actually means that you're working your muscles a lot more. Okay, so let's come along with me. Starting actually on the ground here to just go over a quick stretch for the hips. So on the floor, this is one of my favorite hip flexor stretches. We have a group of 5 different hip flexors here. So if you have any issues in the knee, make sure you fold a mat or a pillow underneath it. You're going to pull your pelvic muscles and your deep abdominal muscles inwards. So you're scooping your tail under, and then you're going to go, and as you're keeping this, you're going to go slowly forward. So what I'm doing is I'm opening my other leg a little bit wider so that I can also get a little bit of my inner thigh to stretch. Okay, so keep doing that, keep holding in, and as you exhale, you're going to pull a little bit more your pelvic floor muscles in, a little bit more your deeper abdominal to get a little bit more of that scoop, and then maybe go a little bit more forward. So inhale, exhale, good. So from a side view, this is how it looks like. Actually going to switch sides so you can see that better. So keep doing that, okay? Tucking the tail under, and you're gradually going a little bit more forward as your body allows you to, but without allowing the back to arch. So you really want to keep that scoop and keep breathing through it, okay? So we're going to do a sustained stretch. You can always do a short stretch, come back, do another 5 to 10 seconds, come back. So different ways to do it, okay? And then move back. Let's switch leg. So another thing that we can do, if you notice any of these areas being a little bit more tight, you can also move the back foot slightly out, but without allowing your pelvis to twist. So you want to keep that pelvis always, if you had headlights here, they're right forward. They're shooting forward, okay? So keep that belly tucked in, foot slightly out, without rotating your pelvis, and you're going to get a little different area to stretch, okay? So I love this this kind of stretch because you can find different angles to find those muscles that need a little bit more attention and spend a little bit more time on those, okay? Come back, good. So again, do about the same on both sides, up to a minute, or the short little up to 10-second holds, come back, repeat 6 to 10 times, okay? So all right, let's get you up, and we're going to focus on a little bit of squatting. Squatting exercises are great because they're very functional, and basically what you're doing is go up about hip width, maybe a little bit wider, and we're going to sit back and push from the heels to come back up. I like to bring my hands forward. It just makes more sense to me. Some people like to have them at the waist, okay? And keep doing your squats at the height that feels good for you, that you're challenging yourself. There's no pain in the joints, maybe a little bit of muscle working already. You might feel that already. I'm going to show you a side view. Keep on going, okay? And I'm trying to think of that nice long neck to back. So a lot of people say stick out your butt to do that. Yes, you want to do that, you want to go into that direction, but you don't want to hyper arch your back, right? So you want to still keep your deep abdominal muscles fairly engaged, okay? So you're not feeling like there's any compression, there's any discomfort in your lower back. And notice that the knees, they kind of point in the same direction as the second and third toes, okay? They are not going inwards or too far out. Okay, so important to pay attention to that. Now hold it down here. Try to find that center. Again, those pelvic bones shooting straight ahead. Shift a little bit your weight back, shift a little bit forward. Find that center where you can feel those muscles working, and feel free to come up anytime. We're gonna do a sustained hold here. Lift without shifting too much weight. Root through that left leg and lift your right heel up. And back down, controlled. Switch the weight to this one. Lift this heel up. So minimal movement, okay? And this is just our warm-up, okay? I think we can do it. We're gonna do 4 reps on each side. Keep holding that deep stomach in. Good, keep your breath coming. Don't hold your breath. Anytime you need to come up, feel free to do so. We have 2 more on each side. Good, nice and controlled. Awesome. And 1 more. Feel free to go a little deeper on that last one. Woo-wee. Very good. Awesome. Come right back up. Shifting focus on the lateral muscles. We're going to stay straight, supporting leg soft. We're going to go out with the opposite leg. This is an exercise, again, requires quite a lot of focus control coming from here. And watch that my toes are not leading the way. They're sticking forward, okay? Because with that angle, you can only go so far before your bone kind of stops the movement, okay? So in lots of sports like skating, dance, ballet, right? So you're gonna start doing this to gain a little bit more motion. This is not our goal here. Our goal is feeling the muscle in the back, not the muscle on the side. So we're trying to get glutes engaged. All right, and switch side. If you find this is too much of a challenge for you to maintain that control, it's still a little bit too hard to avoid shifting the weight, use a chair, okay? Use a chair to help you. So notice that my standing leg is just shy of locking, whereas my moving leg is fully straight, okay? Some people cannot feel it. Keep going. So what I recommend, going slightly back instead of straight sideways. I'm not feeling this one much. Go a little bit posterior at an angle, but again, make sure you're not arching your back, right? It's not a donkey kick, is not a kick from the back. You are controlling and almost feeling like I'm rooting my tailbone down as I'm lifting my leg. Great. All right, a little bit of a burning going, okay? Let's get you down onto the floor. So for this exercise, we're going on all 4s. So hands under shoulders, knees under hips. Straight through the back. Try to elongate through the back of the neck. And shift your weight into your left knee. And you're going to keep your right knee bent as it is, if you had a cast around your knee. You're going to come up with it. And then flex your foot at the top and do a little bit of pulsing there. 1, 2, we're going to go to 10. Make sure that belly is really nice and engaged. And keep the length, so it's not arching the back. It's not a big kick. And 2 more. And bring it down. Switching side. Same thing. Shift the weight to the right leg. Engage that core. You're going to lift that leg up. It's almost like you're inside a box. And you're trying to push the lid off with your heel. Okay? So only pulsing enough that you feel you can maintain that length, that stability, without arching your back, without over pumping, okay? It's just all about feeling the muscles. It should be your glutes. Okay, back down. Let's straighten the legs out for a little breather on those legs. Let's do a little bit of planking, keeping the back nice and straight. Pull those belly muscles in. Fire your quads. Really try to straighten those knees out. Option always to stay on your knees or to come down to your elbows. Anytime you need a break, feel free to take it. Keep breathing. Keep breathing. Good. And then we're going to come down to the floor on your side. So for this exercise, we go back to that focus on the side. So if the standing one was a little bit of a challenge, I'll give you some options. We know the clamshell is a very common exercise. You want to try to pull your top hip a little bit more forward. You can go all the way down to the floor, stay on your elbow. Keep your feet together, and I want you to really focus on pushing the bottom knee down into the ground as you're lifting the top knee. If you're not potentially doing that opposition force, your body will try to just twist. So you're actually using the rotators of your spine instead of your gluteus medius to get that hip to rotate outwards and up, okay? So very, very important. Keep the belly, core engaged. Push the bottom knee down towards the floor as you lift the top knee away, okay? So they're supposed to be even forces, opposing forces, okay? That's very, very important, okay? There you go. Make the movement smaller if it starts burning too much. Always an option to take a break. Good. Let's switch side. Okay, same thing, clamshell. Now, we can advance this by either keeping the same position and add a resistance band around the knees, or by going a little bit higher. So I love this one where we're actually on the side, and then you can still do the bottom knee down, and then do it this way, right? So still pushing opposing forces there. We'll make both of them work a lot at the same time, the back part here, okay? Or even the straight leg. So there's quite a few different options. Yeah. Okay, all done. Roll onto your back. So onto the back. I love this exercise as well. Great way to strengthen glutes and really get that core opening. So you're gonna pull your heels a little closer to you. Try to keep your knees together, but there's no big deal if they go a little wider. What I'm trying to avoid is excessive outer rotation of those knees, because I see that a lot when there's weakness in the glutes. We're trying to use more of the lateral muscles, okay? So engaging the inner thighs will also engage more your deeper core, okay? Pull your belly button in, pull the pelvic floor muscles in. You're going to try to tuck the tail under, and you're starting to rotate your pelvis to come up. So we're doing a bridge exercise. So one vertebra at a time. You're peeling off the floor, coming up to the highest point with no pressure in the back. You're going to still feel you really trying to scoop that tailbone under, and slowly roll one vertebra at a time back down. And there we go. Inhale. As you exhale, scoop everything under, start peeling off. Coming up, coming up, coming up, coming up, and slowly back down. So if you start feeling some muscles in the back of your thighs cramping, a little Charlie horse there, this is very common. Try to just straighten out the leg, wait a few rounds, and then try it again. Sometimes it will take a while for you to do this exercise without that Charlie horse. It's just you have some over dominant muscles there that are still kicking in before the other ones. No biggie, so you can always start with a smaller movement too, just maybe halfway up, okay? For those of you who want a little bit more, we can do the one leg bridge. So I usually like to start as a normal bridge, and then here, lift one leg up, and down, back up, but without changing the position of the pelvis. So you can also just do the upward movement and straight down. It doesn't matter. Up and down. Make sure you have no feeling of pinching in the lower back. If that's happening, again, reinforce those belly muscles, okay? Sometimes it's a little too soon to start certain exercises, okay? Perfect, and back down all the way. Very nice. Grab your knees, roll like a ball to come back up, and we're going back up to standing a little bit more. So Yoga is famous for the forward fold. I want you to imagine more like rolling from the neck and then each vertebra at a time. So we're not leaning backwards, we're actually staying in the same line to roll down, and we're opening our backs and reach as far as it's okay for you. From here, we're going to try to do a forward fold with a hamstring lift. So some of you like to have the hands a little bit higher on a leg. You can always just bend one knee as well, okay? And then we're going to try to lift the opposite leg up straight. At the same time, you're trying to bring your lips closer to your knee. Try to elevate that back leg a little bit more. Shaking is fine. Like I said, it's going to work our stability. It's working our length. It's working our strength. Switch side, same thing. Remember to keep that standing leg not locked, just shy of locking, or if you're having a lot of a stretch in that hamstring, just bend it a little bit more and just tap the toes back there down, okay? So I am switching sides, but you can always stay on the same side. Now let's do that now. So same side, up and down. We're going to try 5 taps. 1, 2, 3. Look at your knee. Keep breathing. 4. Use that strength of that hamstring. You're rooting through this heel while the other heel is pushing up. Again, opposing force is working. Good. And switch side. Same thing. Reset. Pushing that heel down. Other heel will come up. And avoid opening that top leg outwards. So try to maintain those toes pointing straight down to avoid that lateral movement of the pelvis, right? Again, we're focusing on keeping that pelvis nice and neutral. 2 more. Great job. Feet together. You're going to drop your bum as you're shifting your knees a little bit more forward. So you're sitting down, and then you're going to lean forward just a bit to lift your heels up. And then you bring your heels back down. Open your knees a little bit wider so you're into a crouch position, okay? And again, heel raises back down, okay? Now scoop that tail under a little bit more and try to round your back just for a nice little stretch on that lower back. Scoop the tail a little further under. Good. And relax. Okay, heels down. Stand back up. Okay. And let's do the airplane pose. So airplane pose, we're going to try to, same thing, always engage that core first. We're going to tip at the hip. And as we're tipping forward, one of the legs is going to come back. So similar position that we were doing already. The difference here is that you're a little bit more flexible with how far can I go until I start feeling I'm a little bit unsafe here, or I'm feeling like, yeah, I'm rounding my back too much, or so we want to try to avoid doing this, okay? So keeping the nice length in the back, shoulders are pulling back, and then back. Now, if you want a little bit more, feel free to add your arms overhead and hinging at the hip, nice and long, good, and coming back again. Keep that breath going. Burning in the standing leg muscles is the goal. And a little bit of shaking, wobbles are fine. Remember all that, that's part of the game. Nice and long, reach through the fingertips, reach through the heel, and back. And then the other side, same exercise. Hinging at the hip, keeping your chest proud. Try to avoid tipping here, keeping that nice elongation, pelvis level, okay? This is always the hardest part, is our body finds easier ways to do certain movements. So that's what we're trying to focus. That's why we do those slow movements, to try to really retrain that motor pattern that's already ingrained there. So we need to try to reset that old program and create the new one with the proper movement use, okay? There we go. Okay, so now enough of the front and back. Let's go back to our side movement. So before we did just the opening and closing. So if that was enough of a challenge for you, you can stay there or you can use your chair again. And for those that want a little bit more, we're going to open to that limit, and then we're going to start hinging from the body, and the leg will come along a little bit more. As far sideways as you feel comfortable, reaching the arms. Feel free to add a kick. Straighten the leg and come back. So nice and slow. This is extreme work for all those lower quadrant joints. You working your ankle, you working your knee, you working your hips, and obviously your core as well. Okay, and we're adding a little bonus arm work here too, right? So nice and controlled. It's all what it is. Open first. Feel that muscle, feel the muscle. Then you start hinging sideways. No locking of that bottom leg. Okay, make sure that knee is soft. Reach to all the corners of the room. Little kick. And extend the leg, keep it high, and then slowly lower. Yeah, so all these muscles should start waking up. Sideways first, good. Then you hinge, good. And then we add the arms, and then we add the final kick. Perfect. Keep breathing. And remember, you might have one leg that is a little bit weaker than the other, especially if you did have the injury, an injury on that side, right? Sometimes you just think of, oh yeah, let's work out evenly on both sides. But if you had previous injuries on that side, you might notice difference in balance and control and strength, okay? And a lot of times also what happens is the opposite leg gets weaker as we rehab. We focus so much on that injured side, which is what happened to me. I had surgery many years ago. Oops, let's start with the leg first. See, I get distracted with my talking. And focus so much on my left knee. So now, as you notice, when I go into my right, I'm a little bit less balanced. And I still, I've been working on that for years, and it's still noticeable. Yeah. Okay, so sometimes I just ask people, just add an extra rep or two on that side that you feel you're a little weaker or you have less balance, and see what happens. Lift that final one. Let's go a little bit higher. Keep breathing. Breathing is important. Lengthen. Slowly back down. Last one on the left. Lift the leg first. Sideways, side sweep. Side bending. Go as far as you can. Breathe. Lift that leg. Kick. Lengthen. And slowly back down. Great. Nice. How about some calf raises? Calf raises with going down into a squat, which is what we call the chair pose in yoga. Okay. Try to keep zipping up these knees together. Again, if your knees bug you, feel free to keep those heels down. We're just adding the challenge of the bounce. Heels come down, reset. You can add your arms overhead as you lift your heels. Sink into that chair pose, keeping the knees glued together as much as you can. Keep belly engaged so you're not arching excessively your back. As deep as you can with control. There's a point where we feel we're just resting, so don't get to that point. Go as high as you can. Lower the heels. Good. Nice and control. Lift, lengthen. Keep the heels together as much as you can. And then start sinking. Good. So we're engaging more the inner core when we're engaging our inner legs a little bit more. So this is a chain of muscles that kind of connect together, okay? So if one fires, it creates that chain reaction, and it's easier for you to engage the core when you're using more your inner thighs. So there we go. Nice and long through the body. Keep breathing. Stay on top of your toes. Don't let the heels drop. And then come back up and reset. Whew, great. Big shoulder rolls. All right, do a little shaking of the legs. They need a little bit of a break. Great. And there we go, team. If you want to do again those same stretches we did in the beginning, feel free to do those. The hip flexor stretches. My heart is still going a little fast, so sometimes I do a little cool down, so it depends on how hard you worked. So just keep marching in place, or do a few crunches, right? Or do other exercise that you like, and then add some stretches at the end. Okay, I'm not adding them in today, but I might do that on a different session just with stretches for the lower limb, just for stretches for the upper limb. Who knows what's coming next, right? But thanks for joining. Have a great day. Bye.